As a teenager in the 2000s during the peak emo scene MySpace era, which is what my aesthetic was back then. I was very much an emo scene kid on MySpace. And there was also this smaller sub aesthetic called the hollister emo, which I think might still be around today, but I'm not sure if it's the same as it was back then. So if you don't know what it is or what it was, basically it was a kid who was not quite preppy enough to be a prep, but also not quite emo or scene enough to be an emo or scene kid. They were kind of stuck in the middle. And normally it had to do with the fact that their parents would not let them go to the extremes that they needed to go to look like alternative enough to fit the mold for an emo or scene kid. So basically, they just wore Converse and skinny jeans, and then they had a basic haircut, but they almost always had a massive fringe. And then they always wore their token, like Hollister logo shirt or Abercrombie logo shirt, which is how they got the name Hollister emo. And somebody just commented on an old throwback picture of me and called me a Hollister emo because I was wearing a shirt that looked like it said Hollister on it. And if you didn't know, the MySpace emos and the Hollister emos always had beef back then. Literally always had beef. I have no idea why we were always beefing with these kids. I think because we felt like we were superior to them because our parents let us do whatever we want with our appearances. And I remember the shirt that I'm wearing in that picture, I actually got at Warped Tour one year. And if you didn't know, Warped Tour wasn't just like a giant music festival back in the day. They also had this section where they had dozens of booths that you could go shopping at. And it was where like the band sold their merch. And there was also indie brands and MySpace brands, stuff like that, that was selling a bunch of clothing and accessories and stuff. And so you could buy a ton of super cool clothes there. And one year in like 2007 or 2008, I stopped at a booth and they were making fun of Hollister emos in their shirts. And they said Hellister on some of them and then Aberzombie and Bitch on the other ones. And I bought a shirt of each. And that is what I was wearing in that picture. And my hair was just covering up the E. And then the girl saw the picture and called me a Hollister emo.